Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So if you're new here, my name's Ray and I'm in my third year doing physics here at Cambridge, and in this video I want to talk about falling behind on work and getting back on track. So you may have just started like university, GCSEs or A-levels, and after a term or so you've already found yourself behind on work. So I want to talk briefly about like how you found yourself in this position and ways of getting back on track over the holidays or whatnot. But before then, I first want to formalize the problem rather than jumping straight into solutions, because I think it first helps to understand where the problem came from and how it arose, so you can sort of avoid doing in the future. So a useful concept I found for helping me understand why the situation arose is called UG fields. So there are a few links in the description about this, but I will explain more or less all of it in the video. So the idea essentially is that if someone receives constant negative conditioning through any unwelcoming thoughts about something in their life, then they will develop or condition themselves to have some kind of psychological flinch mechanism to those set of thoughts. So I'm going to use an example outside of school to help us understand this better. So let's say you're receiving some kind of utility bills or phone bill, television bill, whatever in the mail, and the first time you receive this bill, like you say, okay, I'm going to pay this, and then you set it aside on your desk, and you will like come back to it later or something, and say some kind of accident happens where, say, I don't know, one of your parents is cleaning your room, or like takes the, I don't know, mail off your table thinking it was like kind of junk mail or something, and then just throws it away. And this could just be by accident or some kind of other kind of accident that could happen. So now a few weeks passed and you basically forgot about it, and then you remember that you had a bill to pay. So then you log in and then you see you also have to make some kind of late payment fee. Now you're kind of annoyed that you have to make some kind of late payment fee as well, or you got fined for making a late payment. Now the next time you receive the bill, you feel a little bit annoyed because you had to make a late payment fee and you wish that the utility company reminded you through text or email or something like that the day before it was due, but they don't do that because they want to make money. So you feel a little bit annoyed because of all of this. And then to avoid this feeling of annoyance, you put the mail to like the side again, and then it goes missing in a set of papers. So then you miss another payment, and then the next time the bill arrives, you feel even more annoyed because like they didn't remind you, and it was kind of by accident that you miss a payment and you had to pay a late payment fee. Now this happens once or twice more, and the next time you receive the bill, you're going to feel so annoyed looking at it that you basically developed a flinch, which prevents you from taking any action. So the most rational response in this situation would be to like go ahead and immediately pay the bill, but this like flinch you have prevents you from doing so, and it just says like, okay, I'm going to set this aside and like deal with this later, because you want to avoid thinking about it, because the flinch or the emotional hits to you is so painful that you just want to avoid it. So what's essentially happened here is that you went from experiencing no flinch to slowly developing this kind of emotional burden when it comes to thinking about paying this bill or taking any action towards a problem. And rather than experiencing this emotional pain at the moment you realize that you have to make a late payment, you end up feeling this emotional pain much earlier in the timeline of when you first see the stimulus, which is the bill which arrives in the mail. So because we're not all rational people and we have like lizard monkey brains, whatever, instead of paying the bill, you just end up doing other things which make you feel better in the moment, because you know the feeling of paying the bill is just going to leave you annoyed for like 5-10 minutes just because of that emotional burden that has slowly built up. So you end up procrastinating, and then like you end up missing another payment somehow, and eventually it just goes on a downward spiral, and you found yourself in an UG field when it comes to, say, paying your utility bills or phone bills. So the key point here is that you feel this flinch between when seeing the stimulus and consciously thinking I'm taking any action towards this problem, i.e. paying the bill in this case. And this is related to a phenomenon in neuroscience called temporal difference learning, which you can read more about down below. So let's use an example when it comes to schoolwork. So say you have a homework and you have a deadline due, and because of something that goes on at home or whatever, you end up missing the deadline. So you get told off by the teacher and you feel a little bit annoyed because of this. So next time it comes to having to do the homework, you feel some level of annoyance and you don't really want to make a start on it. And because of this, or because of something else that happens in your life, you end up missing that deadline too. And then the following time you feel even more annoyed because you've been told off and by several teachers in that case or something. And then slowly over time, you just don't end up getting the homework done because the flinch or this emotional burden which you have upon seeing the homework is so great that you just want to like throw it away and just not really think about it. And this also happens when it comes to like, say, revision, and then procrastinating from revision, and then developing more of this flinch towards actually doing the revision and so on. So by following along and understanding that, you basically already made your first step in dealing with the problem, because you understand the problem better, and you can appreciate that many people go through it when it comes to like saying you paying utility bills or just doing some other kind of general work in their life. And even just giving this problem a name of UG fields makes you more aware of this problem and helps you find or realize when you find yourself in the situation of like, damn, I've just found myself in an UG field of when it comes to, say, say doing homework, or when it comes to like saying paying these bills or whatever. And also I find it helpful to know that there's an actual explanation for what's going on because of our lizard monkey brain, and we're not always rational people all the time, which makes me feel a lot better rather than saying, oh, I'm utterly hopeless, I can just never get work done or something. You can actually appreciate this as a problem and you're able to overcome it in some ways. Now there are a few solutions towards dealing with this problem, and the first solution I came across was visualizing what your life would look like if you avoided this flinch or you just did not have this flinch. So in the case of like paying bills, you can like imagine that your life would be like pretty good because you wouldn't have to pay these late payment fees, and the money you're spending on late payment fees you can probably spend on ice cream instead or something. Or when it comes to say doing work, you can imagine yourself like going to university you want to and studying the subject you want to. But I wouldn't say spend too much time doing this because like you gotta get the work done. And I find that spending too much time on visualization exercises kind of makes you feel like you've already achieved the thing because you've visualized it so much. So I find it useful to only visualize like a little to actually get you going with the work and then stop visualizing from there. As for more concrete steps, I find it useful to mix high and low priority tasks together. So high priority tasks would be like topics which I really don't like doing and I just need to make a start on, and low priority tasks would be like topics which I like doing or just some easier lighter work. So often people recommend you start off with the topics you dislike the most and make progress on there first, but because the flinch towards those topics is so great, you'll have to overcome some like larger burden or larger amounts of activation energy to be able to actually get started on the tasks. So what I find useful is instead of starting on the topic which you dislike the most, do like a topic you like for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then as you ease your ways into like actually getting work done and actually gaining some momentum, then you can slowly transition into a topic you dislike more, and then like you can eventually go into a topic you dislike the most and then make progress on that for a few hours, and then coming back to like topics which you like more. So essentially, to not experience as large of a flinch when it comes to doing work, try to find topics which you like doing for about 5, 10, 15 minutes or so, and then move on to topics which you dislike more as you build momentum. So something else I found useful is to break down large tasks into small tasks. So rather than saying revise this whole topic in physics, which you're going to experience much more flinch in doing so because it's so overwhelming and big, it's much better to break that down into subtasks, and the first subtask could be like watch a 5-10 minute video, and the flinch in like watching a 5-10 minute video about this topic is much lower, and then as you ease yourself into this, you build more momentum, and then you can go through the other parts of the or you can go through the other subtasks, and then eventually you've just basically revised the whole topic. Also, something that I started doing recently is scheduling breaks and not work. So often people schedule work blocks on their calendar of like 1 to 4 p.m. I'm going to be doing work, whatever. But when you're behind on work, you gotta like do more work than usual. So I find it helpful to schedule the breaks in your day rather than work in your day. So usually I schedule like 6 to 8 p.m. to like have dinner and chat with friends, 12 to 2 p.m. to have lunch and like watch some YouTube television shows, and then like 7 to 8 a.m. to have breakfast or whatever, and then like 10 p.m. onwards, like I don't know, just relax and go to bed. So one advantage of doing this is that you can see how many breaks you've limited yourself to in a day, which is like 5 hours of breaks, and you can just see that on your calendar quite easily if you block out these times as breaks. And secondly, you also feel less of a response or reluctance to doing work, because rather than saying like, oh, should I be doing work now? Should I not be doing work now? You just basically look at your calendar, and if it's like a break time, then you shouldn't be doing work. And if it's not a break time, then you should be doing work. So it's much easier in that sense than the other way around. Well, at least I found in my experience. And finally, during these non-break sessions, of course, you have to take mini breaks. So something useful I find is using a Pomodoro timer. So I actually have a physical timer over here, which like I can set to like, I don't know, 50 minutes. So I usually go for 50 minutes of work and then 10-minute break, 50 minutes of work, 10-minute break, and so on. But you can also find apps online by just searching like Pomodoro app. Oh, it makes like a ringing noise when I'm done. So you can just search like Pomodoro apps online and just use them. There are plenty of videos online which explain what Pomodoros are, so if you don't know, then just search them online, because I'm not going to explain in this video. But yeah, that's basically for the video. Hopefully you found it useful and understood the idea of org fields and like how to combat them in some ways. And understanding the problem better should also give you a chance to like think about your own solutions to tackling these org fields. So for some people that can be like having a rewards-based system, which I talked about in another video, which should be linked above somewhere right now, of just assigning yourself points for getting work done. And for other people, it could be entirely different situations. So if you have any recommendations, do leave them in the comments down below. But otherwise, I guess I'll see you next time. Bye!